Hello there. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say DMT? Ego death? Spiritual awakening? Entities? That's a big one. These are common themes that everyone talks about in the DMT realm, right? But what most people don't tell you is what happens after the DMT trip ends. Here you go. What's going on? Here in the Dandenong Ranges. I love this place. Very special to me. It's where I had my first heroic mushroom dose. It's where I filmed my very first trip simulation, actually. And I've had many good times just going on hikes. The fact that this is basically my backyard it's insane. So what don't most people tell you about what happens after the trip? Because that's very important. Because the DMT trip, meeting entities, I mean, obviously it's freaking like, whoa! Mind-boggling. Makes you rethink a few things. How you view reality, for sure. But it's only the beginning. That's like opening a portal, really. Discovering that there's a whole other universe out there. And what can happen sometimes is that people have this mind-boggling trip and it opens a lot more questions than answers. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's part of the journey, based on my own experience anyway. But sometimes it can open one too many portals, and depending on your mental bandwidth, sometimes it can be overwhelming. Some go full solipsism, or some other extreme phenomena like depersonalization, where you don't even feel real anymore, like you're living in a simulation. And maybe we are. But that doesn't really change how we fundamentally live, because we're ultimately ruled by biochemical reactions, evolution, patterns, cycles, human laws, natural laws, a lot of invisible forces out there binding us within this certain experience. And perhaps DMT is like that glitch in the matrix that just whoa, helps you kind of trampoline out of this reality, kind of like a fish out of water. Where it's like you know how a fish, because a fish can't even begin to conceptualize what water is, because they're surrounded by it. The humans, we're one of those peculiar creatures where we're swimming in consciousness, but we're aware of it. I think even Terence McKenna talked about this. It's a weird predicament that we're in, the human being. And so after you have this massive trip, you're like, okay, now what? More questions? Another thing people don't tell you about, which is very important. And if you're not careful, is the isolation that can come with a powerful psychedelic experience, because it automatically puts you into the weirdo category. The other. That strange fella. He doesn't quite think like the rest of us. When you start to become a little bit too different. Jeez, I don't know why that magpie scared the bejesus out of me. It's just like right in front of me. Look at that. Gorgeous. Sorry. ADHD brain. Where was I? This is why you gotta have your like-minded weirdo community. Even if it's a friend or two. Very important for that sanity. And because I know a lot of people struggle with this, where they're the only person in their community that's into all this kind of stuff, which of course sounds super strange from the outside perspective. And it is strange. It's pretty cool. It's strange nonetheless. And I can understand why most people can be very judgmental. Especially when you start talking about entities and fucking seeing outside the matrix and DMT and all this stuff. So I get it. But this can make a lot of people feel lonely. Especially, again, if they don't have anyone around them that's into the same things that they are. And then they do DMT and it's just... And you know, I don't have to tell you guys, building the other pillars of your life, not just the esoteric spiritual side, but everything else. But I also want to say, because I'm a loner weirdo too, like, I'm married, so I'm very lucky that I actually have someone who I can relate with, but I'm still an individual, so I'm definitely going to have certain corners of madness in my mind that my wife's like, you're fucking out of your mind, So I know what it feels like to be that classic hermit archetype. And there can be a lot of beauty that can be extracted from these cycles. Like going deep within yourself, into your soul, finding out who you really are without distractions of other people who have preconceived perceptions of you. So this human path can be a lonely one without psychedelics and DMT, but you add these powerful experiences to the equation, it gets kind of harder to relate with the average population. I don't want to sound like, ooh, those average, I don't get, because it can sound like that pretentiousness, that spiritual ego, and maybe there's some of that in there for sure. Holy shit, don't want to die here. But it's true. It gets harder to relate to more and more people. But there is a beauty in this, which is when you do find the others on this weird quest, when you're vibing out with bro, ooh, magic. That's what life's worth living for, in my opinion. Oh, it's those small little slice of life moments, having a good laugh or connecting with a soulmate. Oh, it's beautiful. And, sometimes those moments can be far and in between, but so you got to be grateful and appreciate it when it does come. Oh. How we doing, Felix? Okay, got a little lightheaded there. So yeah, and so DMT, man, it's so freaking powerful that I haven't done it in years, and I still think about it from time to time. Because it gets freaking pretty weird. Because it's like a pattern disruptor, really, the ultimate pattern disruptor, where you're like, wait, what the? I gotta rethink things about life, like I said earlier, but it's like I gotta rethink this life thing and my place in it. And that can lead down a lifelong rabbit hole, exploring all these different philosophies and religion, spirituality, and it's beautiful. That's part of the path. But what most people don't tell you is that it can get tough along the journey, is all. But not always, because some people have DMT and they're like, oh yeah, cool. They just treat it like it's like a cartoon visual circus. Awesome. And then they just move on with their life and never think about it again. So maybe it's like a certain personality that has DMT, and it's like, ooh, oh my God, what does this mean? But I like to believe that it's more than just a silly hallucination, because there are just too many patterns that's being measured now, especially mapping out the DMT hyperspace. Very fascinating stuff, which are being explored by much smarter people than myself. It was like one of the times I had ayahuasca, a very potent form of oral DMT. Ooh, that definitely opened up a lot of questions in my mind and set me on a whirlwind of a journey. And at the end, I am grateful for it. But it definitely, I guess this is the crux of this whole video, and what most people don't tell you about DMT is that once it opens a portal, it never really closes. You know what I mean? And portals are a two-way system. And I have to be clear that, of course, this doesn't happen to everybody. But for those who do have that type of DMT experience, you know what I'm talking about. It opens portals that you just can't close. And sometimes it can be very beautiful in the moment, sometimes it can be challenging. But even if it's challenging, in my opinion, the healthiest mindset is to transmute it into something positive, even if it's shit. There's a reason why many people, after years of hindsight, looking back on their bad trips, that it was the most life transforming. But this video isn't just about having bad DMT trips, it's just about having powerful DMT trips that can shift the way you think about reality, and sometimes you just got to be aware of what comes after, even if you try to ignore it at the beginning. Because the mind is a pattern recognition machine. And when you open too many loops without reconciliation, it can create more confusion and your paradigms start to get scattered. Which is why, by the way, most people don't mess with DMT too many times, right? It's usually, okay, we'll have it once, could be a year, 2 years, 5 years that pass until you even think about having it again. But of course, I'm sure there are people who probably smoke it every day. I don't understand it, but who knows? Anyways, hope you enjoyed this hike with me. Catch you next time. What? Dude, I wasn't even trying, I swear.